Hello, and welcome to another episode of
Talk, Walk, and Dance Dementia. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Talk, Walk, and Dance Dementia. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about walking the walk of whatever your belief system is. And in my opinion, feeding that belief system to make it more possible for you to serve your loved one. And so I just like to think that when I found out that Mom had dementia, it was an opportunity for me to go so much deeper into what I believed. And I believe that we're all here on Earth School having a spiritual experience. It's not just about blood and bones and gray matter. It is the soul having an experience on Earth. And so let's just think about when a soul is born into a body. It's a darling little baby, and that little baby is welcomed into the world as a miracle by its parents. Well, we hope it is. The baby is a miracle. And then the baby grows with nurturing. We would never expect that little tiny baby to be able to do what an 18-year-old can do, or to be in full consciousness of maturity like a 35-year-old person would be. But we still have this wonder and amazement about the beauty of that baby. So what I would like us to do is to kind of shift that thinking into when we see an elderly person who now is no longer acting like the 35-year-old. What my deep belief is the soul is still there, and the soul is having that experience. And how can I help walk the walk of my belief is to just keep seeing that person as a full soul that happens to, whether they were a baby, the miracle of a baby, or the miracle of an elderly person being able to just even still function and express love and have beautiful moments in their lives. I just wanted to express something like that today, to think, because Denise had said something about that in another episode, about really honoring the higher consciousness in that person, the full person. The full person, it's a full soul. And I think that gets lost a lot when we're interacting with each other. We start to pigeonhole each other and put us in just compartments rather than seeing each other in a more whole state. I just wanted to say
that's so true. And I think when someone has any type of a diagnosis, whatever it may be, it's real easy for people to pigeonhole that person. I think it's not because medicine wants to be mean or anything like that. They want to at least be able to study. Science wants to be able to study it so they can figure it out. So they end up pigeonholing a person, not meaning to be mean or anything, but at the same time, they lose the essence of the fullness of who that person really is. And that's the person that you can't see. It's the spiritual essence of who that person is. And when we enter into healing, true healing is seeing the person whole before they're even healed. Mm-hmm. Seeing the best that you can see in the person before they're even healed. And I always go back to dogs because I was a dog trainer for many years. But when you're working with a dog, sometimes dogs do miraculous things that you can't even explain. They seem to have this intuitive sense about knowing certain things. They seem to be able to bring out so much love, and you can't explain to anyone this connection that you have with this animal. But really what's happening, I think, is that you're connecting to the spirit within them, the spirit which is perfect and whole and beautiful. And I think that's what you need to do when you look at, not saying you should or shouldn't, I'm just saying what will help in understanding dementia is to look at that person as being whole and complete, and that for whatever reason this is a season in life that they are living in order to get from point A to point B. And some religions, they say that's heaven. That means they're getting ready to go to heaven. They're carrying their last bit of baggage before they go into heaven. They have unfinished business to tend to at the very end, is what Naomi File talks about. unfinished, unresolved emotional or whatever issues that they're reliving through the dementia experience. We can talk about the interfibrillatory tangles and we can talk about the physiology and anatomy of the brain and the glial cells and all of that. I could go on and on about that. But we need to look past the physical and we need to look into the spiritual, because there's so much about the brain and about the spirit that we don't understand. If we enter into that when we see an elderly person, and when we see a person, let's say, that has some sort of a disease where they can't move or they can't talk or they can't interact as we do, if we see the magic and the beauty in them when we first interact with them, they will be our best teachers. They really will. And so I just ask and I pray that when you are dealing with someone, that you try to get to the point where you get rid of expectations of where they used to be, what they used to be able to do, and enter into where they are at this moment. Allow them to lead you where they need to lead you. And I know it's hard to explain, but it really just is about loving them unconditionally. Just love them so much. Love them, give them love, not just from the outward, like, oh, I'm gonna love on the person. No, I mean really love them. Love them and know that they're gonna do things. They're gonna wet their pants. They're gonna do things that they did when they were infants,
Babies.
when they were babies. Do you ever go to a baby and say, "No, I'm going to change your diaper. Thanks a lot." Or, "Now you're keeping me awake at night. Thanks a lot." I'm not saying people do that. People have jobs and all of that kind of thing when having a person with dementia in the house. But please treat them in the same way you would a loving baby and a person that is very, very, very loved by our Creator, more than we could love them. And just meet them at that point, because that's where really the healing happens. It happens by healing us first in the experience of caring with them, caring for them, I believe.
That was beautiful, Denise.
I don't know if that makes sense,
It's
but
true. The thing is, we're all souls, and if God is one, it is God that is permeating that beautiful consciousness through whatever form. If it's that dog you mentioned, if it's God in a person, God in nature, God is in everything. So we can honor that by just being present and, like Denise said, love. I'll say one more thing about love. I started and I forgot. Anyway, love isn't just that warm, wonderful feeling that one has. Love is when you act lovingly. Let's say I don't really care for somebody, or I feel someone's annoying. But if I can keep that to myself and I can serve that person, if I'm in that context, then I am actually loving that person by the choice that I made. Isn't that amazing? I'm loving that person by choosing to act lovingly. So the choice that I have made, especially when that person has annoyed me, is part of my spiritual training and my choice on this earth plane to make a really good choice in this life of spiritual training. What an opportunity. I mean, what an incredible opportunity. So when we're serving our loved ones, we're the ones that are really lucky, because we get to walk the walk of what we say we believe.
and when we're talking about dementia and just our experience with it, with a very, like, really very close family member, we were very close to our mother. We don't know what God or greater good is for having this disease, which looks horrible. I know it looks horrible. But for many, many years, for hundreds of years, the greatest scientists are saying that they still don't understand the brain. And maybe on some level, these people that have dementia are teaching us of the unlimited capacity of love. I mean, maybe we're learning about love through serving people with dementia, and their lives are very worthwhile. I would tell my mother a lot when she was laying there, and she communicated with us until the end. She recognized us, she communicated with us, and I would tell her at the very end, even the last week of life, I said, "Mom, I know you can't walk right now and you don't talk that much right now, but what you're doing, how you are serving all of us who are serving you, is a really, really, really incredible purpose that you have on the planet. I said, you'll make your transition and you're going to get your promotion, when you're called to get your promotion. But right now, what you're doing is really important work. It's really very important work. And I honor that in you. I really do honor that. She'd always look at me and kind of go, she'd smile. She was getting it. She was getting it. So I just think it's important that we really communicate that with people. I don't care if they're dying of a horrible disease, if they're unable to walk, they're unable to talk, people that have had all the brain injuries, that have been in comas, that have come out of comas, all of them have had awareness. They've all had this greater awareness that something else is running the brain. They have had the awareness to actually quote what other people have said, and they're like, well, I don't know how that happened. You don't know how that happened because you're not appealing to the spirit. You start appealing to the spirit and get rid of the mental, all of this, the thinking that science, the only thing that science is doing, what science does, and I believe me, I love science. Science tries to explain the unexplainable. The unexplainable is already in the realm of our experience. It's already there, and that's the spirit. The spirit runs the brain. We really believe that.
Oh my God, that goes back to that quote. The soul is not the brain. The soul functions the brain. The brain is its instrument, by Meher Baba. So we're all here having our soul experience. And Denise, you mentioned people in comas and stuff and how they can,
it's incredible.
They can come out and actually, or an operation or near-death experiences.
Yes.
Okay. So I really liked what you said about not judging or evaluating, because what it's saying is that who knows that person that is there that seems to not be having some sort of experience, but they are just having an inner experience. Let's say they're having an amazing dream. Maybe they're meeting their mother on the other side. Maybe they're having all these incredible soul, spirit experiences, and we just see the container. We just see the container. We don't see all the experiences that soul is having in that moment. So yeah, I do feel like sometimes God doesn't want certain things to be stopped yet because there's such a value for the soul in the experience of dementia, in the experience of being born with Down syndrome and that brain experience, all the different experiences that the brain, so-called, would be having.
And all these people
They're not
bless
curses.
Us. They bless us. They bless us so deeply.
Absolutely.
Any parent of a Down syndrome child will tell you that my child's a blessing. My child's life is
not a curse, it's a blessing.
My child is a blessing. So our parents are a blessing. Our loved ones are blessings to us that have this. Is the disease itself a blessing? Maybe not. It's not a fun thing to have, but at the same time, can there be a blessing in the experience for both? For the person with it and the people surrounding the person, yes, there can be blessings.
I believe it. I don't.
There can be blessings.
I mean,
God.
I believe it.
It's awesome.
God does. They say God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. God doesn't give us anything that He can't handle.
Ooh, yes.
Especially when we then live moment by moment with His, her, however you want to say God, God's help inside. When we ask for that help, it'll always be there, because our collective strength, meaning our soul strength, when we're connected to that, to God, is limitless.
Anyway, we
okay,
just
that's
wanted to share that with
for
you
today.
No, that is that's
okay.
awesome.
That was fun.
That's awesome. So I want to share. I didn't know how long we were going.
We went a long time, so we'll have to see if we
I love what you said.
Okay,
yes.
I love what you said too. Yeah. Let's give them our send off.
Oh yes, Mama's send off. This salute from Shirley. Thank you. Thanks so much.